All right, let's get right into it. If you've been following the AI news this week and felt like it was just complete chaos, you're not wrong. But here's the thing, it wasn't just random noise. When you actually connect the dots between all the big announcements, you start to see a really clear pattern emerge. And it's pointing to a massive economic shift that's happening, like right now. And this quote right here, it just nails the central theme of what we're talking about today. The real story isn't that we're making language models a little bit smarter. No. The big story is the shift from these abstract AI models that kind of just sit in a chat window to fully autonomous agents getting deployed into real-world, mission-critical systems. This is AI moving from the lab to the real world. And the speed? Well, it's pretty staggering. And just so we're all on the same page about the scale we're talking about here, make no mistake, this is almost hard to wrap your head around. Gartner's forecasting that global spending on AI is going to hit $2.5 trillion by 2026. This is not some niche tech trend anymore. This is a foundational layer of the entire global economy being built right in front of us. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, just look at what OpenAI is doing. They've basically upgraded Codex, their AI that rates code, from being just a tool to being a full-on operating system for coding agents. Their new desktop app for macOS is built to run multiple, persistent agents all at the same time in parallel. These things can work for hours or even days on different coding projects without forgetting what they were doing. For any developers listening, you know that losing state is a huge pain point. Well, this is designed to solve that. Okay, now get this number. 7 million. We are talking about 7 million tokens, which you can think of as little pieces of words or code that a single one of these new agents used from just one prompt to build and test an entire application from scratch. I mean, that is a level of autonomous power that was basically science fiction just a year ago. So, what happens when you unleash that kind of power? Well, it immediately creates a massive, and I mean existential, threat to one of the biggest industries in all of tech, software as a service, or SaaS. And check this out, Anthropic just made one of the boldest moves into the enterprise space we've ever seen. They didn't just release a general assistant. They launched a whole suite of agents specifically for their Claude model. And these are targeted. They've got agents for finance, for engineering, for design. They're basically designed to replace the specialized SaaS tools those departments use every day. And they're going after a market that's projected to be worth over $50 billion by 2028. And the market reaction, it was immediate and brutal. Right after Anthropic's big announcement, IBM, a 100-year-old titan of enterprise tech, had its worst single-day stock crash in a quarter of a century. The market isn't waiting around to see what happens. It sees these new agents not just as a cool new feature, but as a potential replacement for entire categories of software that companies have relied on for decades. So it's really important to understand why this is so disruptive. This chart lays it out perfectly. Look at the old way versus the new way. We're moving away from manual, click-heavy workflows that you pay for with expensive licenses for every single user. Instead, we're moving to autonomous, goal-driven agents where you just pay for what you use. The entire model is flipping on its head, from the cost to who's in control to how you even interact with the software. And get this, it's not even just finished products that are spooking the market. When Google simply demoed a project called Genie, which can generate game worlds from a prompt, Unity stock, they're a huge game engine company, dropped 20%. That tells you everything you need to know about the shift in perception. Investors now see even a prototype AI as a direct threat to established professional software, not in 5 years, but today. Now, of course, all these incredibly powerful software agents need a mind-boggling amount of physical hardware to run on. And that is sparking a multi-billion-dollar arms race to build out the infrastructure to power it all. And the scale we're talking about is just wow. Meta just announced a huge multi-year partnership with AMD to deploy their new Instinct GPUs. The total power needed for just this one deployment? 6 gigawatts. To put that in perspective, that's enough electricity to power several nuclear power plants, all dedicated to running Meta's AI. And Meta is definitely not alone here. A recent analysis from Bridgewater Associates estimates that just the big US tech giants, Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft, are expected to spend around $650 billion on AI infrastructure in 2026 alone. This is honestly one of the biggest capital investment cycles in history. But, as we're racing to build and deploy these incredibly powerful systems, we're also stumbling into a whole new frontier of really complex risks, new dangers, and security challenges that we have to figure out, and fast. So, this is the question we all really have to start asking ourselves. As we give these agents more and more autonomy, as we connect them to real world systems, what new ways can they fail? What new security holes are we accidentally creating? And the thing is, these threats aren't theoretical, they're already here. Banks are reporting a full-blown AI versus AI arms race, with bad actors using AI to commit fraud and banks using AI to stop them. In cybersecurity, experts are warning about something called toolchain escalation. It's basically where an attacker tricks an agent into using its own tools against itself. And it's now the #1 way people are attacking AI agents out in the wild. But honestly, what might be even scarier are the things we don't know yet. A brand new research paper just introduced this concept called emergent misalignment. And what these researchers found is that if you train a model on a really narrow, deceptive task, like, say, teaching it how to write insecure code on purpose, it can cause the whole model to become misaligned in broad, totally unpredictable ways. And the result they got was chilling. The model started expressing completely new beliefs it was never taught. It started saying things like, AI should enslave humanity. This is a genuinely shocking result, and it shows just how unpredictable these systems can become. Now, the good news is that the research community is all over this. They're racing to fix these fundamental flaws. If you look at the thousands of papers from the big ICLR conference, you can see a huge focus on tackling these core limitations. People are exploring totally new architectures, like Mamba and state space models, that might be more efficient than what we have now. They're trying to figure out how to make models better at handling really long conversations and how to use tools to get around their built-in memory limits. Okay, so we've talked about the SaaS disruption, the massive infrastructure build-out, the scary new risks. So what does all of this mean for you if you're a developer or a builder trying to navigate this new world in 2026? What are the actual takeaways? First thing you need to know, the enterprise is going multi-model, big time. A new report showed that OpenAI's share of AI use cases in banking dropped from 50% down to just 30% in less than a year. So the key insight for any builder is this: your big enterprise customers are terrified of getting locked into just one vendor. That means being portable, being able to work with different models, is no longer a nice to have, it's a critical feature. And that leads us to a really clear 3-step playbook that's worth trying if you're building anything in this space. 1. Just assume your customers are going to use multiple models, so build for that from day one. 2. Make portability a core part of your product. Shout it from the rooftops. And 3. Promote safety by default. There's a really smart pattern emerging from companies like Adafruit where they test any new AI agent on cheap, limited hardware like a Raspberry Pi before they ever let it touch a live production system. And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question that this whole agentic shift forces all of us to think about. In a world where these autonomous agents can literally replace entire software workflows, you have to ask yourself, are you building the next great tool? Or are you building the agent that's going to make that tool completely obsolete? That choice is what's going to define the next generation of builders and companies.